We are counting down to Budget Day on the 23rd of July, and ahead of that, we are bringing you the India Inc. Wishlist. After years of weak rural demand, high inflation and low volume growth, India's FMCG industry is starting to see some green shoots, but the industry says a sustained revival in demand will need some help. CNBC-TV18's Shilpa Ranipeta reports that players are looking to the Modi 3.0 government's first budget for measures that will boost consumption and put more money in the hands of consumers.
For several quarters now, growth has been elusive for India's consumer companies. Rising input costs have been eating into margins, and high inflation has meant rural and middle-class consumers, who make up for the sector's largest customer base, have been buying less. This has resulted in low single-digit volumes. Players hope the government will use the budget to give some income tax relief to the salaried class, which could boost consumption by leaving more money in the hands of the consumer.
I'm sure there will be certain steps taken to drive consumption. Firstly, I think steps which are there in the form of perhaps giving relief to the salaried middle class. I think the government has taken significant steps in terms of giving free rations, which is there in the free food grain scheme, which has been extended. It needs to be extended beyond a certain period of time because that helps in controlling inflation and gives I think money in the hands of the common man.
Weak rural demand has been the industry's biggest pain point. Data from market research firm Nielsen IQ shows that rural consumption declined for at least 6 quarters since 2021 before turning positive in the first quarter of 2023. However, a meaningful revival has still not set in. For this, FMCG companies blame rising food prices. So expanding welfare schemes like the PM Kisan and job guarantee schemes like Manrega are a big ask.
There's a need for rural consumers to get some kind of stimulus so that the cycle kicks off, because once they get it, they start spending, the rural economy takes off. We have got some excellent over the last few years. So much work has been done on direct transfers and the ability to go to banks. So something like PM Kisan, if it is expanded, will certainly from a consumption point of view be a good thing.
Given that cost of everything has gone up, what CII is recommending is that the amounts through direct benefit transfer, the amounts through Manrega and income tax at the lower end, below 20 lakhs, there should be some relief in, and all the other areas should be increased. As far as infra spends are concerned, we are also talking about, putting greater indexation to spends in the rural area.
While these may help in the short term, the industry hopes the budget will have a roadmap that will keep this rural revival alive for a long term.
To solve the rural angle on a more sustainable basis, the issues of both agriculture and empowerment of rural economy through skilling, etc., and very aggressively start working on building resilience, because the biggest culprit at this moment in the recent past on rural incomes has been the weather event.
I think there has to be long-term steps to improve agricultural productivity, because that also, and also encouraging, I think the government is encouraging also in terms of certain crops, like if you ask, if you look at how they're encouraging millets and other things, and maybe manage the import bill. I think oil seeds is one area where we significantly import a lot, and therefore these are the long-term strategic steps that needs to be taken in terms of managing inflation.
Experts say a boost in the budget will accelerate the green shoots that are starting to become visible in rural demand.
FMCG manufacturers want the government to address employment generation as well by focusing more on infrastructure development. They also hope for incentives to attract more private sector investment, maybe through more PLI schemes will come through. This, they say, will help create more jobs and eventually lead to better consumer sentiment, increased consumption and overall economic growth. In Mumbai, Shilpa Ranipeta.
India's air cargo